Kill the stream.
All right. Twitch is thinking. DLive is on. Facebook's
And
as for usual won't pop on. So looks like we're all back here.
cool. What's up, everybody?
Welcome back.
Oh yeah, we're good. We're back up, back in business.
Looks like
So, yeah,
everybody's
before-
back there on DLive too.
So before we the stream cut out, you're talking about this whole thing is kind of over Roe v. Wade or whatever.
Well,
Can you just
I
finish what
do
you're
think
saying
that there's a I think there's a possibility that yes, Roe versus Wade plays a lot into this because we look at the makeup of the Supreme Court. Now, I don't believe for a second that as much as they've tried to feed the propaganda that Trump is going to destroy Roe versus Wade and make abortion completely illegal, I don't think for a second that anybody believes that a Manhattan Playboy is against abortion.
there? So you don't think he's sincere on this?
I don't. I think that I think they're afraid that people are going to read the Constitution and realize that it's a states' right issue, though.
And just to be clear, though, abolishing or making Roe v. Wade defunct doesn't make it illegal, right?
No.
It kicks it to the states.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. So a state could make it completely legal, and that'd be that because all powers not expressly denoted in the Constitution get kicked to the states or the localities, right?
That is absolutely correct. But yeah, that seems to be, and that's something else that we keep thinking about. I mean, think about what we heard when Kavanaugh was first being thought about being nominated before they went down the entire rape thing. That was exactly where they were going. Oh, he's going to end Roe versus Wade. And then, of course, he punted on it, but
Yeah.
that was the first argument that they made as soon as all of this started was, I don't know.
I mean, that's I don't know, not irrelevant, but it should be irrelevant, right? I mean, if it's not mentioned in the Constitution, I don't know. The political process is so partisan and political that it's kind of weird saying that a political process shouldn't be so political, but I don't know. I've been saying this on my show the last couple weeks that or maybe even couple months, that it's really all about power now. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but it's really all about votes, power, and the gun at this point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Right?
So
I don't know what to say. It's just a scary spot to be in because one entity could have as soon as an entity gets 2/3 of the power, it's some serious shit's gonna happen.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a little bit afraid of that.
Yeah. So
let's talk about Justice Roberts for a second. Now, Chief Justice Roberts is presiding over this trial, including making sure everybody stays in line for all of this. Let's see. I don't remember who it was. I looked this up right before we started here, but so much has gone through my mind since then. But somebody came up, somebody on Parnas's side, and said that Senator Nadler, or Representative Nadler rather, was being lied to on all of this. And Nadler kicked back, obviously, right away and started screaming because they're allowed to do that in the House. And Roberts went off on everybody on professionalism of all of this.
yeah. It was good. It was actually pretty good TV. I liked it.
Oh, you actually saw it happen?
I saw the clip. Yeah, we clipped it for my show the other day, and he used the word admonish.
Yes.
And it was both. He wasn't just admonishing the Democrats either, though. It was kind of he said both sides, I believe.
Yes, and both sides are probably guilty of this. This is a partisan, and this is kind of where I was going when I brought up Jen the Libertarian, and we went off on a tangent on that. But so many people said, well, we need the House or the Senate to have a fair trial, and you need to call your senator and tell them to have a fair trial, which is ridiculous anyway, because as many Democrats that are calling Republican senators and saying you must have a fair trial, they're getting an equal number of calls from people in their districts that say, vote the right way or don't bother coming home. You know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really... a lot of this stuff can be seen through the lens of kind of a philosophical discussion of what the word fair means. Mm-hmm. Is that what we are striving for? Is that what we're supposed to strive for? What does the word actually mean? And in this society we're in, so many words have lost their meaning.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you know, almost so many different words. And it you know, is are things supposed to be fair? I mean, we all learned when we were in first grade that life isn't fair. And is this, what do they mean by fair? Do we want it to be fair? And is that what we're supposed to be striving for? Because it's certainly not fair, but is it supposed to be?
Well, what was the lesson that we learned from Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World back when Corey was still a little kid? Life's tough, little bro. Get a helmet.
Yeah, or yeah, something. I mean, if it, if it's, look, if things are supposed to be fair, we need to put it in into doctrine somewhere. And does it say anywhere that it's supposed to be a fair process or an equal process, or
Right.
it's all about power?
And the other part of that is, I mean, if you put on a partisan investigation in the House, don't be surprised when you get a partisan trial in the Senate.
Yeah, yeah. Live by the sword, or whatever rules you live by. You got to be ready to both sides to play that way. It's you know the way it is, I guess.
So, as we go along, I do want to talk about a couple of things from what we should be taking out of this at this point. Because we've talked about Bolton already. That's the last topic I wanted to talk about on there. But there are a couple things with what we should be seeing. First off, CNN put out a poll that said that 51% of all of Americans want to see Trump removed. But I don't recall it being asked.
Yeah, I mean, polls are bullshit. Even when I was talking about this with family last night. Even when you know, it's not a double-edged sword, but even when you agree with it, you can't use that poll. I mean, not they only ask about 2,000 people usually, 2 to 3,000 on the high side, and sometimes the aggregates will get to 13,000 or so. But what always happens is the journalist will say in the headlines, percentage of Americans. And
Oh, absolutely.
I was saying last night, at least say percentage of polled Americans. And up top should be a link to the methodology, but no, it's of Americans. And Trump does the same thing. Trump will,
yeah, he does.
52%, 52% approval rate. No, it isn't. Now it may be more than 52%. It may be less. It could be 60% of all Americans, but you won't know when you ask 3,000 people, right?
Well, the other thing that goes along with that, of course, is, I mean, how many times did CNN throw the poll out there before they got a result that they liked?
Yeah.
I wonder how many of those polls didn't get published.
Yeah. Like, they got the net out there. They got the fishing pole. Nope. I don't like this one. Nope. I don't like it. Oh, we got one. All right. All right.
This one says over 50%. We'll use this one.
Yeah. 51%.
And the last thing that I thought about, I've been watching all of this here. Now, even the squad, well, maybe not the squad because they're pretty dumb, but even the most progressive partisan Democrats in the House had to know that you were not going to get 67 votes in the Senate to convict and remove. Is this a taxpayer-funded Senate ad? Is this going to be like the Kavanaugh hearing where it's going to go one way, but everybody's going to get their sound bites in, and now all of the people that are trying to challenge Republicans this time in the Senate, which is going to be a hard one for Democrats this time, because most of the Republicans that are up are in safe districts. Well, actually, most everybody that's up right now is in a safe district for their political party. But yeah, is this going to be something that the commercials are going to have all over the place? This senator voted to keep Trump in, so we need to get this guy out. We need to take back the Senate so we can get our agenda pushed through.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, I do think it's something other than they think they're going to win. I mean, if they win, that would be, I mean,
I don't know.
I'm trying to think if it would be a bigger miracle than Trump winning. It probably would be, right? Because the math still, a lot of the polls said that Hillary was going to win in 2016, but the electoral map, the math didn't rule out Trump winning. The math right now for impeachment, it almost rules out the Democrats removing him. So it would be a bigger buzzer beater, a bigger miracle than him winning in the first place. So if that happened, I mean, I don't know, you'd see some serious drama. So I think they're playing the long game, like you've been saying for a while.
Yeah, this has been a long game thing forever.
Yeah.
This is Democrats trying to steal the 2020 election.
So, so you think they're trying to get? I mean, they're trying to retain the house. I mean, of course, they're always going to try to win. But
Hmm.
you think that they're going to just use this as ammo? Do you think this could still be? When do you think this is going to wrap up?
When Trump leaves office.
You really? So you don't think?
Well, you
So
have to consider one thing here. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not going to live for very much longer.
yeah, said people 5 years ago when she died.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Ginsburg
I
is
don't
not
know.
going to live for very much longer. They're eventually going to have to admit that she's dead, and she's
Eventually.
going to have to be replaced on the Supreme Court. So think about the long game here for a second. I mean, they're throwing a Walter Mondale up right now for to go against Trump. They are not doing this. They're not running presidency seriously. I'm sorry. What they have up there, what they're saying in the debates, they are not running the presidential election seriously. They're throwing a Walter Mondale up there. It's going to be Mondale versus Reagan, and we have to pray to God that we don't get another fucking Bush in 2024.
Interesting. So, I've heard this argued on different shows before, but do you think that part of it is that the left or the Democrats they actually do a little bit better from a weaker position?
A little
You know,
bit.
a little bit, yeah.
But the other part of that is if they can pull the Senate back, because they know they're not going to take Trump out, and they know that they're not going to put a candidate up that's going to take him out in 2020. If they can take the Senate back, they can hold. They can do pretty much what. It wasn't Schumer. Somebody on Twitter corrected me on this. What the hell was the guy, the majority leader in the Senate? I thought it was Schumer, but it wasn't. Harry Reid. They can do what
Reed.
Harry Reid did under Bush and say, okay, we're just not going to hear a Supreme Court nomination if it opens up in the rest of your term. And they wouldn't confirm any of his judges either.
Wow. Can they remove judges? They can't do that, right?
No, they can just refuse to hear confirmation.
Future ones, but the
Yeah.
ones like Trump has appointed all those federal judges, hundreds of them at this point, but they can't remove old judges.
No, they
right?
cannot.
Okay, all right.
They couldn't
Wow.
even if Trump got removed from office, they wouldn't be able to do it. But yes, if they can block any other judicial nomination, including the Supreme Court, up until they get a Democrat in the White House, that's I think what their game is.
Wow. And by that point, there'll be enough, there'll be enough Democratic voters either imported or propaganda or you're trained out of the colleges to, there's some electoral shit gonna go down in the next 5 or 10 years.
Well, I mean, they've got to train them in the colleges because they're killing most of them in the womb. Too
Yeah,
dark?
man. It's not too dark, just dark. It's just true, man. I mean, we might transition to talking about the March for Life like now or whatever because that's all I kept thinking about. It was just I don't know, man. The whole abortion thing it fills me with despair. It's crazy, man.
Well, let's check in with the live chat here, see who survived after the internet decided that they didn't want me to be on anymore. Let's see. Reflections of Liberty says, "Got to beat Metal Man first. Got to use them saw blades."
Thank you, Reflections.
Let's see. Zuck the Cuck is something that also came from Reflections of Liberty. Penny Rue says he crushes. Hail the live chat. Ron Helton says, "Take my place at St. Jude, Stephen. Howdy, taters." Maybe not the best. Definitely the rowdiest chat. That must have been the chat. This is going back to we were talking about the live chat. Is cable still a thing? Yes, unfortunately, cable is still a thing. Streaming services have not taken over cable yet. Saint
Soon.
says, "Stephen Ignoramus, on this day in history, I lost my V card."
Sounds good.
Press 1 in the chat for Saint. Country Gravy Bear is here. I'm surprised I'm not seeing more bears in this. Because they follow
Peace
you
be-
everywhere.
Peace be upon the Bears.
I don't mind the bears.
No, me neither.
I'm not a huge fan of Owen himself, but the bears can be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't dislike the guy. He's not at the top of my list. Amore de lejos es para pendejos. My Spanish is a little bit rusty, but
What does that mean?
lejos I don't remember. I don't remember what lejos means. It's love of something is for the stupid people, but I don't know what lejos is.
Far? It says far.
Huh. I don't
Lejos means
understand.
far.
We have a viewer from Turkey, RKLRLL. So hello to Turkey. Most of these people are probably not here right now. Ron is talking in Spanish too. Reflection of Liberty wants you to talk Turkey. Wow, we get a busy thing going here. Top Feed Coco. Oh shit, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and me makes Tweedledumbest. And we've got a running Pepe. Pence has certainly committed thought crimes. And then now we're back on. Roe vs. Wade is a moot point. There are more recent rulings that prohibit states from regulating abortion. The state should be allowed to make anything that individuals do to themselves legal or illegal. A tyranny of the majority must be stopped. Pedophagging was it? I don't know what that means.
That is a term that John Roberts brought up in his admonishment, and it's an old English word. The roots in the 15th or 16th century. That means, I think, debating and making a big incident over things that don't matter, things that will never be resolved, things that don't matter, insignificant details, I believe.
Helton says, democracy must die. We don't need no stinking roads. Reflections of Liberty. It's all about giving up negative partisanship to drive the loonies to vote for anybody but Trump. Dems' only chance to win, allegedly. Courts are the only thing Dems desperately need for any radical agenda.
Yeah, man, that's the last step. That's really the last step. It's why one of the good things about Trump is all these federal judges, man. I hope they do a good job.
And then we got some translations here. Ron Helton says, long distance lovers is for idiots was the first one. And love is better close is what he wrote. So,
all right. Love is in the air, Ron.
Yeah. So.
Just no love for those hoe-ass roads, Ron.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Fuck them hoe-ass roads.
All right. So we will check in with the live chat in again here in probably a half an hour when we're done with this topic here. So let's first talk about the gun rally because that came first.
Yeah.
So as Top Feed Coco and I talked about last week, the day that we were on, there was a demonstration in Richmond for gun rights. Now, you were actually there.
Yeah.
But before we get too far into that, I want to show everybody else in the chat who else was also there and who was my favorite person that was there. And we have this guy who suddenly makes me want to go out and buy a gun. Specifically that one.
Let me wait to see it. Oh yeah. Oh, that was one of the guys that was there.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah, he was a range and a gun store owner, and yeah, he brought out probably the biggest gun. And this is the one. David Hogg was pissed about this. Well, you don't need that for home defense. Well, if you don't need 50 calibers for home defense, then don't look in my nightstand drawer. That's all I'm telling you.
Man, it's no one's business what a person needs. I'm sick of that argument.
Yeah, absolutely. So, since you were on the ground, I'm actually going to let you lead this segment here. So, tell us what you saw on that.
Well, I left DC around 4:30 in the morning. I got there just before 7, and the planned start time of the rally was at 8, or I guess when they were going to start letting people into the actual house grounds was 8 o'clock, and then the rally went basically from 11 till 1 or so local time. And I don't know, I got there early. I did a couple test live streams from my car. When I drove into Richmond, there were already people assembled. There were lines, there were signs, people in, I don't know what to call it. I'm not a military or a guns guy. I like guns. I support 2A for everybody, but I don't know all the terminology. But they were basically in camo or faux military fatigues. Their gear on their sides or whatever, and they're just people assembled. Looked like a bunch of cool people. And basically, I got in there. I started streaming, and I had a camcorder in one hand and my phone in the other hand, and I tried to stream and capture as much as I could. I was interacting with a bunch of people in the live chat, and there were kind of times where the calls were getting dropped. People were saying cops were jamming the signal. I saw no proof of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they were, but it was just a great vibe, man. there were a bunch of good people, a bunch of patriots there, a bunch of people that looked like they didn't want to be there. They just, but they felt like they had to be there because these are our, it's our rights to defend ourselves against either an attacker or a tyrannical government, probably both. But it was just great vibes, and I've been to protests, Democratic or leftist protests before, and these vibes were so much better. Just a bunch of Americans, man. So. Very little violence. Not very little. There was no violence. I didn't see. There were these rumors about Antifa being bussed in and posing as MAGA people. I saw none of that shit. It was just a great time, and I was there till around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and it was cold. Cops were really cool. I'm pretty. I've mixed opinions on cops. I think most of them are good people. I think there's a lot of, power does some bad things to people. But, basically people were shaking hands with the cops. There was thousands of guns. I mean, tens of thousands of guns. Everybody was strapped. So that was cool. And it was just a great day, man.
How many of those were there?
How many guns?
No, how many of the Barrett ones?
I think I saw 4. Yeah, I definitely saw 2 real close. I got them on my stream. A lot of the news reports said that, between 22 and 25,000 people were there. I think that's extremely low. I think, I was saying 40 or 50.
Yeah, that's what you were saying on RRC, that those are some low numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I've been around 20,000 people. I've been around 50. I've been around 80. Been around 150, and this is, to me, definitely in the 40 to 60 range.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no crime.
None, and none at all. It was so much fun. I mean, it was just great vibes all the way around. There was some good signs. There's some spicy signs. I liked it. There was people talking revolution. There were a couple people with megaphones talking about overthrowing the government, which I'm definitely listening to the conversation. I'm more on the overthrow than the preserve as it is forever. I think the latter is just not working. But people were speaking their mind. They were exercising their rights. It was really cool.
Yeah, I almost wish that I could have had the chance to be there and see something like that. But I mean, that's a good 10 hours from here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
that's actually closer than I thought it would be. That's cool.
Well, it might be 11 or 12 from here. When I lived in Kenosha, I was planning, when I moved to Boston, I had a friend that lived in West Virginia that I was going to pop by and see on the way until I realized it was 10 hours down and then 10 hours back up. So,
yeah. I mean, it was a great time, and people came in from all over, and people were marching under different state banners, which was great. There was a Maine coalition, Oklahoma, Colorado. There's people basically, marching under what I, imagine happened before the Civil War or whatever, identifying more with their state than with the nation, which is cool.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the big problems that they had on the Twitterverse when all this was going on was the fact that, oh no, people were waving the battle flag of Virginia, which is what most people consider to be the Confederate flag.
Yeah. And it's actually John from Generational Gap schooled me on this. I didn't know this till earlier this year that wasn't really the Confederate flag.
Yeah, it was. I've only known that for a few years myself.
Yeah,
I haven't known it for very long either.
Right. It's just crazy how people with their words and their symbols and stuff. I mean, all people are guilty of it, if guilt is the right word. But like I got a cross behind me, that cross represents something to me, and it, 1,000 years, 2,000 or more years ago, it represented something different. But when people get very emotional and, triggered by certain symbols, it's I don't know, it's just freaking humans, man.
And, of course, there's a coiled up rattlesnake behind me. And
yeah,
I mean, that means something to me, but it means different things to different people. And certainly probably meant something different in 1761.
Yeah, I did this the museum, which was a museum in DC. They closed down, and I did basically I got some footage from the museum closing, and I in this room in this museum, there's all these old these old newspapers, and you pull out this drawer, and it's the original. It's the snake that says "Join or Die." You know the flag I'm talking about.
Yep.
And it was the first time that was used in a publication, and I just saw it. And I was like, "Damn, dude! Like it's from 1772 or something like that. Pretty crazy."
So one of the things that came out about this story that Top Beat Coco and I were not able to talk to because it hadn't really happened yet was that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decided that she was going to make a speech on Martin Luther King Day. And during her speech, she pointed out the fact that during Ferguson, during the Freddie Gray demonstrations, was what she said, during pretty much any demonstration that they had out there, there were police in riot gear and military-style weaponry to control the population. But according to her, there were no police anywhere to be found during this demonstration, which meant that this was a white supremacy rally. So what did you see on that?
Yo, man, there were thousands of cops. There are straight up thousands. I mean, maybe if someone told me there were 900 police, I'd maybe believe it. But from what I saw, there were cops everywhere. I don't know what a non-military style weapon is. I don't know what a military style weapon. I don't know what that is. They all guns shoot bullets. Bullets hurt people. And that happens in war. It happens on the street. But there were definitely cops in so-called riot gear. They had protective, helmets and stuff. They didn't have. I didn't see any of the shields. But I saw that. We covered it on my show, and she said there's barely. I think the quote is something like there were barely any cops there. There were thousands, dude. There were thousands of police everywhere. There were cops everywhere.
Well, that's one thing too that went along with this, and I mean, everybody in the mainstream news had a big boner for the idea that this was going to be. They were waiting for bloodshed. They wanted somebody to get killed over this.
Yeah, man. It's I don't know. I hate going to the place of intentions or mind reading. It's not possible unless someone declares their intentions, but I don't know. I hope they don't want violence, but their actions and words kind of speak otherwise. Mm-hmm. They want something to happen. But from what I saw at this demonstration, it's not going to happen from this side. A lot of these people have gotten their 2A their Second Amendment rights pretty shit on a lot for decades, and I don't think these type of people are ever going to make the first move. Ever.
Well, and if they make the first move, then they lose their 2A rights.
It's dumb morally, it's dumb strategically, it's dumb legally. Why would they do that? It's dumb on every level. So maybe the AOC types do want violence, but they would never say they do. So what do you do about that?
We move on to talk about their other favorite pet project here, and that is the abortion industry. So tell us about the March for Life.
Well, that was also cool. Both these demonstrations filled me with a lot of hope in different ways. I mean, the 2A rally was, I'd say more than 60% of the people were above the age of 40 or 45. It was pretty old crowd as crowds go. But the March for Life was so many young people, so many people under 25 or so. And it was just cool seeing the whole thing. I mean, I didn't have to drive far for it. It was right in D.C., but just talk about two massive white pills, man. Just seeing people in Richmond and seeing people at the March for Life. I had never been to either of these. These were my first two right-wing so-called demonstrations, even though, I don't know, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like the left-right thing is kind of gay. But most of these are right-wing issues, and it was cool. I heard Trump speak. That was cool. The crowds there was a ton of people at the March for Life. I mean, there was a ton. I don't know how many people. I would believe it if someone said 200,000. It was absolutely huge. So it was great vibes too.
Now this March for Life was significant because this was actually the first one that that a president has spoken at, and Trump was the first one to speak at one. And not only that, during the recess, and this is something we can cite back again to Verdict, when Michael Knowles was talking to Ted Cruz admitted the fact that during a 15-minute recess of the impeachment hearing, he went outside and he marched.
Sweet. That's badass. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't find out about that until I was listening to the podcast.
Wow. Yeah, so let me ask you something. So um you don't think Trump is sincere when he says he's pro-life?
I don't know.
You don't?
Well, it would be a change in his position because he's been
Yes.
a pro-choice for almost his entire life. And again, as a Manhattan playboy, I mean, it would just fit with his lifestyle.
Yeah.
But the other
Yeah.
side of that is I mean, if people read the Constitution verbatim, there is no right to abortion in the Constitution,
Hell no. Yeah.
except for some justices in 1967 managed to find it.
Yeah.
I've read it 3 times. I can't find it.
It doesn't say shit about abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um do you know how old the word abortion is?
I don't.
Me neither. I'm gonna look that up real fast. I'm interested in that because I mean, the idea of killing a baby in the womb is not old. I mean, it is not new, I should say. Um,
No, I
yeah,
wouldn't think
but
so.
yeah, mid 16th century from Latin abortio and aborini, miscarry, see abort. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. This might see, I know that you believe in God. I also believe in God.
Hmm.
But I think that, and we have no idea, no way of knowing God's mind or whatever, or if what God works with is what we would call a mind, but I think that there's not a lot of, I don't know how to put this, but it doesn't get it talked about a lot how a person could have a singular moment. We talk about how people can change gradually over time, but
Right.
it doesn't really get talked about a lot how maybe someone could have one thing happen to them and it changed their position overnight. And that could be called flip-flopping or whatever, but that's what I sometimes wonder about with Trump. And if that happened to him, or he could be just a bullshitter, he could be just a Manhattan playboy, he could be just doing things for his own gain, but part of me doesn't see that, and it makes my mind search for other things that could have happened. Like, did he get find Jesus when he was 50? Did he ever find Jesus? I mean, he definitely plays up the Christian crowd. He talks about God, and so did that ever happen, or is he just full of shit as any other politician?
Well, this is the way that I look at it, and this is how I look at all of politics.
Mm.
It matters less than one single fuck to me how Trump views abortion in his personal life. All I care about is how he executes the laws that the legislature brings forward to him. And there is no law in the books on abortion. It's just a Supreme Court decision. That's not a law. You can't legislate from the bench.
That's a good point. So you're saying that since so when they enact that decision, that's Roe v. Wade is essentially an interpretation of the Fourth Amendment, right?
Yes. Right to
That's
privacy.
so thin, dude. That is so thin. That's such a thin argument.
Well, and when I had Harvey on a few weeks ago, we talked about this too because at the time Elizabeth Warren was saying the fact that when she had a plan for everything, we watched that cringy fucking L video. And she said that one part of the plan was to get legislation on Roe versus Wade, and all I could think when I saw that was, Jesus Christ, even a broken clock is right twice a day. If they really want to codify that, they need legislation.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of representatives that aren't going to be able to go home after they do that.
Right.
A lot of senators that aren't going to be able to go home after they do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people see Roe v. Wade basically as a compromise.
Yes.
And I don't. I don't see that.
Wait, how would you see that as a compromise?
Oh, I've just been heard it. I've basically been told that by people on the left. There's been this dispute for so many years, and they found a compromise in Roe v. Wade. I don't know how, but I know that's the way I've seen it referred before. I don't know why, but I've heard that language be used about it many, many times in publications, opinion pieces, and just random people I talk to.
Well, it's a leftist compromise. That means that the right got nothing out of it and the left got everything.
Yeah.
That's what a compromise is to them.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean the march was cool. I mean, I kind of there was a thing I was thinking about with both of the different rallies, both the 2A and the March for Life, is that you know, it's cool to make your voice heard. It's cool to demonstrate, but when you talk about what the actual result is going to be, I don't know what to say about either of the rallies because it looks like they're pushing a lot of this gun legislation through in Virginia, and I honestly don't think Roe v. Wade will be repealed. I would like to see it repealed, but I don't think it's going to happen. So what is a demonstration if you're making your voice heard and the massive evil you're talking about is nothing's going to happen with it? Like, what what is that, right?
I don't know. Now I've got on the notes here, and I don't remember if I put that in there or you put that in there, because I think I might have after I was watching Daily Ignoramus here. But you were doing a documentary later this year.
Yeah. Like, I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I know that it's going to go from it's going to at least go from a week before the election to Inauguration Day. And I'm also thinking about going to the DNC and the RNC.
Well,
so
if you go to the DNC, look me up here because it's only going to be an hour away from where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. I was definitely going to hit you up.
Yeah.
But basically, what I want to do is I want to I don't think there's, like I said earlier, I don't think there's many right wingers in DC. I want to do a documentary from basically a right winger's perspective living in DC in an election year, and especially what could be the mother of all election years. We'll have to see, but I'm looking at getting in touch with a camera operator, a video editor, and I want to make a documentary this year. And one of my goals for the year is to spend a lot more time on the street, interviewing people, doing protests. But the DNC and the RNC, I mean, summer is open season for me, so I'm thinking about maybe tying those into them as well and doing like a 6-month documentary.
Where is the RNC?
Charlotte.
Okay.
Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina. And that's in August, and then the RNC is in July. So I don't know. But I definitely want to get my hands dirty a little bit. And, last year I spent a lot of time talking to people that I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to spend more time talking to people that I don't agree with. Or maybe even people that hate me. That sounds fun.
Well, I was thinking even the same thing, too. I mean, you're into YouTube culture. Do you remember the React channel?
No. What is that?
They had different shows like Teens React, Kids React, Adults React. One of the teens reactors does a religious podcast, and I've listened to. I actually want to see if I can get her on there, but I mean they're all from Southern California, so even the more conservative ones are way out on left field compared to most of the rest of us.
Yeah.
So I am looking to get a little bit more leftward influence on this show.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, yo. The left has some points.
But they usually, for the most part, won't talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely, it's definitely the talk to everybody thing is more prevalent on the right, but I still think there's some people out there. There's some people that hang in my chat that are leftists, but they're not really creators. But
right.
I wonder why that is. What have you got to lose?
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. So that's what I'm planning to do with this year and make the documentary. And I just think that I think a lot of people see the writing on the wall or whatever that this year is going to be pretty epic. So I want to capitalize on that.
When is the DNC?
I don't know the date, but it's in July. Let me look it up.
I'm gonna take that week off work.
July 13th. Yeah, I mean, even if I don't come, dude, you should definitely go. Definitely get a camera rig, interview people. That'd be the shit, dude.
Well, I know what the Beauty and the Beta Frozen North group has talked about crashing, and most of them live in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Or the surrounding communities, so.
Yeah, and I think the DNC would be cooler to go to than the RNC. The RNC is going to be a celebration. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to challenge Trump, but the DNC is interesting things happen at the DNC. I mean, dude, the DNC is massively corrupt.
Yeah.
Massively. Now the RNC may be corrupt, but they're not on the level of the DNC. Do you think so?
I think they're all corrupt.
They're politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me what Obi-Wan said in the beginning of Attack of the Clones. Remember, Anakin, she's a politician and they're not to be trusted.
Yeah.
After I got blackpilled and I realized how blackpilled I was last week, I decided I want to watch the prequel trilogy again and look at the political situation that happened there.
Are you saying you got blackpilled on Star Wars or just blackpilled in general?
Blackpilled in general, because the last time I watched the prequel trilogy, I was still very staunchly neocon and classically conservative.
Wow, man.
And you see it through a completely different eye when you go collapsitarian. Trust me.
Wow. I didn't know. I didn't know that was a recent thing.
Watch them again now that you've actually got into analyzing all this. Watch those movies again. I swear to God, it just changes the way you see them.
Interesting.
Let's check in with the live chat here. See what we've got going on. We left off, I believe, at shortly after pettifogging.
Oh yeah.
And the translations. So love from afar is fool's love, says Reflections of Liberty. The sheriff here is legit, but our city police are notoriously corrupt. Are you in Richmond, Reflections of Liberty?
He's in California.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, definitely the city police are corrupt there. I've not found any legitimate police. They've all become bagmen for the local and state governments. Yeah, I can see that.
What I'm wondering, what I ask when people say stuff like that, do you? Let's go super extreme, Ron. Do you think a cop has done a good thing ever? That's my question.
Yeah.
Do you think a police officer has done a good thing to save a person or help a person ever? And I think that the answer is 100% yes. That it's happened once, and we can walk it back from there.
Yeah.
But to say that all cops are bad it's fucking retarded.
Well, he's not saying they're bad. He's just saying they're bagmen. And I look at some of the
legit. Yeah, legit was the word, not bad or good. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they definitely are serving their higher ups, but I've had good things done to me by a cop before. That sounded bad, even though I said good things.
But was there a prostitution ring you need to tell us about?
No, it involved a plastic glove and a little bit of Vaseline, and anyway.
I want full cavity searches on all of them. Don't stop till you hit the back of their teeth.
Oh God, even I'm offended. But yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of people saying that there are no good cops, and that just doesn't seem true to me. I mean, it seems more true to me that there are no good politicians than there are no good cops, because at least cops are closer to the ground, and they've saved a life once.
Yeah.
Ron asks if I do some good deeds, does that cancel out the times that I rob you of your liberties? No. I don't think it cancels it out. I'm just wondering where the boundaries of the argument are. That's all I'm wondering.
Reflection of Liberty says it's worse. Our police seize and sell drugs, trafficking and prostitution, you name it. Demonstrations more like riots. That must be like Freddie Gray and Michael Brown and stuff like that.
Yep.
The ones in the city confiscate drugs and alcohol from minors and then use it for themselves. Yes, they do. My off-color comment there in the chat, we'll let that one go because I don't want to say that out loud on stream, because that'll get clipped. It's bad enough it's in the live chat. All knowledge stems from sensation and reflection. John Locke. I would add revelation to that equation. Yep. Saint, you did not miss the strippers. I'm sure there's going to be a D-Live dance party later. I'm actually going to try and pop the chest tonight, too. So.
Ooh, the chest.
I don't know if I can. It didn't let me the last time, but I'm going to try it again this time through.
The chest. All right.
What do you have to lose? The evangelical left will eat you alive if you step out of line. Yep. Strippers exited to the right. I think that means 4 more years of Trump. Groundhog's Day is coming up. I like that. And then, yes, we've got the conversation you had with Ron. When they say, I'm just enforcing the law, I translate that to mean they have no damn principles and cannot determine that when there is no victim, there is no crime. No, I don't believe that either, because look at all the people that the sheriffs in Virginia deputized. They weren't going to enforce that law.
Dude, talk about a white pill. Just all the sheriffs there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's now at this point 85 or 90% of the counties and localities have said 2A sanctuary. And the there's other sanctuary. I read about some free speech sanctuaries, some abortion sanctuaries in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are kind of turning. I don't know whether the left or whether the sanctuary city thing for immigration was the first time that language has been used, but it's certainly a good example of, the right using the left's language against them.
Mm-hmm.
And at least it's for a constitutional reason. I mean, there's almost nothing in the Constitution more explicit than the Second Amendment. It's kind of it's one of the most explicit things, and it just feels good to see local sheriffs doing that kind of stuff, right?
Well, with that in mind, we will swing back and check the chat here and again in a bit, but let's talk about 2020. So let's start with the one that you were telling me off, Mike, you hadn't even heard about.
Yeah.
A man who busted his ass to make sure that he paid for his daughter's college went through and he went up to Elizabeth Warren. I don't remember if he wrote an op-ed or if he actually said it to her, but he approached Elizabeth Warren and demanded that she pay him back for the student loan payments that he made on time, financially responsibly, and just in general good. So since you did look that up, what did you see on that?
Well, I mean, I just think it's I don't know, man. I love when people do this kind of stuff. And I just think Elizabeth Warren is just such a liar.
Yeah.
she's her and Kamala Harris were two of the worst political ideas I've ever heard in my life. But Elizabeth Warren is just such a liar, and I'm glad to see people doing the things within their rights, things within, I don't know if trolley tactics is the right word for this, but it's a little bit of a stunt kind of thing, and I just like it. She's lied about so much. There's no such thing as free, yo.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no such thing as free. So I just like the move.
Well, and Tim Pool is. I listen to his daily podcast every day, and he has been on that for quite a while with all these politicians that say that they just want to forgive student debt. That's the first thing he brings up is the fact, and that's absolutely right. People have been responsible. People have their student debts paid off. What's going to happen to those people?
Yep.
Are they the 1% now, and they just get the shaft? They get the Bernie Sanders 2016 treatment? Is that what's going to happen, or?
Right. I mean, and it's almost you can make that same argument for almost all free stuff or government handouts. Like my question, so is like, say reparations happen. Does I know at least 4 or 5 black families that have worked their way up from in the early 60s to now being, I know one family that's a billionaire. That's a black family, and I know several that are 50 to 100 times over millionaires. Do they get reparations? It's the same kind of thing you're asking about. Does just their skin color qualify them? And it's the same kind of thing you're talking about. Does a person that paid it off, it incentivizes basically being lazy, or I don't know about if lazy is the right word, but certainly incentivizes not doing anything because that the handout is coming. That's what a handout is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I look at it now, and I do believe that we need to do something about the student debt crisis. I mean, I'm in the midst of it at this point. I'll be the first one to admit it. I've been struggling with it, but I've gotten a handle on it at this point here. But most of our generation has not, and the baby boomers are going to start dying off. The silent generation is going to start dying off, and there's not going to be anybody to buy these houses.
Yeah. I heard I think it's a Vladimir Putin quote. It's someone at the high ups in Russia. He's like, I don't understand the American economy. All they do is buy and sell each other's houses. It's not, not.
Well,
that
he wouldn't
inaccurate.
Understand that because the government owns all the houses in Russia. And
I wonder how that works. Yeah, I mean, dude, the government owns all the houses here too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you're paying taxes on something still, you don't own it.
Well, at least that's at the state level. So
yeah,
when I
there's
sent
no
when I
there's
sent
no federal land tax, is there?
no,
Okay, good. All right.
but when I send the property tax check with a picture of my butt from the copy machine, I know that it'll be a state trooper that I'll be talking to, not an FBI agent.
It won't be a Fed. That's right.
And I think I'm going to be entering that market here in the near future, so I actually might do that.
Cool.
So that's
anyway, yeah, I like the move by I like using other side's logic against them. I need to do it more in my personal life, but I thought that was a good move by my man asking for the student loans.
So let's talk Veritas now. So
Yeah.
Top Beat Coco and I talked a bit about Kyle Jurek last week, and his. I was actually trying to find video of this one too, and I couldn't find it, which was weird. Guessing that got buried pretty quick the second time.
You mean the third one? Which round of this are we talking about?
There were
the
three?
First one. Yeah. You mean the Kyle Jurek ones, right? Like the Bernie Sanders staffer.
Well, I'm talking. I've got on the notes the Weisgerber one, Guillotine the Rich, that just happened the past week.
No. Yeah, no. I'm the Jurek ones. Yeah. Okay, lay it on me.
So everything, and I heard a bit about this, and then I was looking into this a bit earlier today, and from what I understand, another paid Bernie Sanders staffer has come out and said that he supports Soviet-style methodology to make sure that the people fall in line if Bernie Sanders were to get elected, including
methodology.
Gulags, yes, including gulags and killing people who disagree.
Yeah.
This is scary shit.
I don't know what to do other than laugh at it. I mean, I don't know. Do I think people think this stuff? Yes. Do I think they would do anything about it? I mean, what's scary about it is they will always use the gun of the government. They won't do it themselves. They'll basically, do I think, was it Weisgerber or Jurek would pull the guillotine handle himself? No, but he would gladly use the government.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the thing that goes along with me too, and the communists and the socialists on Twitter like to try and tell us that true communism has never been tried, and that true communism has no governing body. And the first thing that I always ask, especially with shit like this coming out, is if there is no government, who holds the gun to take care of the dissenters? And I actually got an intelligent response to that once.
Okay.
The proletariat.
Does that mean everyone in the proletariat is armed?
No.
Well, then you need a government.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. You need someone to execute the laws. That's why, I mean, could I make up a scheme on paper whether could I make up a scheme on paper to show that anarcho-communism could exist? Yes. But in reality, it kind of can't.
Can you put it into practice?
There? Can you actually do it? No, I mean, and I think anarcho-capitalism is easier to put into practice than anarcho-communism, and I kind of think neither are actually possible. But you need a government to make the transition. You're not going to just go to full anarcho-communism, unless without you arming everybody, and a lot of these people aren't exactly pro-gun.
Right.
It just doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, I mean, National Socialism works on paper.
Yeah.
And it actually possibly could have worked in practice, too, except for a guy with a funny mustache ruined it all by killing a certain group of triple parentheses people.
Yeah, I mean, and what he was trying to really do is grow it to an empire level. I mean, if you look at the actual definitions of the words, we're kind of in National Socialism right now. I mean, it's not called that, but the meaning behind it, we are a nation and we're basically socialist. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's scary, but it's also violence and aggression is not the answer. So, while it makes me want to, think of ways to not let these things happen to me or us or our people, it's just kind of funny, these freaking soy boys talking this way.
Well, the funniest thing about that is that these soy boys have been trying to tell us that this is not going to come to that. Of course, this is going to be democratic, and we're not going to have the gulags, and everybody's just going to agree. And now we've got people on tape saying that no, yes, we're definitely putting the people in the gulags.
Well, it can be democratic gulags. That's definitely a possibility. All you need is 51% to 51% to vote for it and 49% to not comply. And that's democratic, and you can ship into the gulags. So why do those, you can totally square those two arguments. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, 51%, and they're going to vote for, whatever outcome they want. That's democracy. That's why it sucks.
Now, one of the big arguments that's come up, and this is something that comes up every time Democrats are running for something here, is that the person that they are against is going to try and end Social Security. They try to use this against Trump. They try to use it against Romney. They try to use it against McCain. And now Bernie Sanders is trying to use that against Joe Biden. So basically, the two guys in the balcony in the Muppet Show are fighting with each other.
Amazing.
And now Biden is striking back, saying that Bernie is also coming out and saying, I had this backwards. Bernie is saying that Biden is going to try and end Social Security and that he's also highly corrupt. And Biden, of all people, is saying that Bernie's too old to be president.
I love it when the parents fight.
I was just say, these are the front runners.
Man, it's so hard for me to call any person on the in the Democrats a front runner.
Yeah,
and and like we talked about earlier, these polls are bullshit.
Yeah,
they're asking no one, like, who. That's why just to get back to impeachment for a second. That's why I find the argument to be a little bit thin that Trump went after the Democratic front runner. I mean, did he? Prove that. Prove that that's the front runner. So why can't I just say that they ran Biden so they could do this to Trump? They could use these polls against them. They could call him the front runner. But really, to me, what Trump is doing is going after the previous administration, not the Biden administration is so freaking doubtful. So I mean, I think Bernie is the best matchup for Trump. But I don't know. I just like when the parents fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course the Rogan thing that happened this week on top of it.
Yeah, it wasn't Rogan. Do you remember the Data and Society thing from a year ago?
Yeah, and I just looked that up again because I wanted to see what it was that Becca Lewis got famous for before, because she did her whole thing with trad wives, and I might have offered on Twitter to bang her into a trad wife.
Oh, you did? Jagger.
Might have.
How dare you?
Might.
How dare you, sir? Screenshot. Screen captured. But yeah, I mean, I saw some memes this week that took the Data in Society article and linked Bernie Sanders' name and face. Now he's complicit.
Yeah.
For being on Joe Rogan. But I don't know. Joe Rogan's a leftist, man.
Yeah, he always has been.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen there. Well, I know now they want to pull Bernie out of everything because he associated with Joe Rogan, who had Ben Shapiro on his show, which once again that goes back to the Data and Society thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to Joe Rogan. Does that make me in that? I bet you that me and Hitler have eaten the same vegetables before. Does that make me on the level with Mr. Mustache? Not sure. Am I linked in some way? Probably.
I don't know. No, I wouldn't be linked because I've had Christensen on my show, and of course he got left out of the Data and Society report.
That's right. Yeah.
So we're safe at that point.
They hate Bernie, man. I mean, the establishment, the DNC or whoever it is, the elites of the Democrats, they hate Bernie, which makes me kind of like Bernie. It makes me not mind Bernie. I'm like, what is about this dude that all the establishment left hates so much? And I mean, these are the people that I also don't really enjoy. So maybe Bernie.
All right. I want to touch on one last little news story that I added at the last minute here because I caught it at the last minute here before we get on to my favorite news story of the week. Because and we go back to impeachment now again. Now, the impeachment hearings have been stated that they were going to schlong the Democrat frontrunners who were in the Senate because Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Amy Klobuchar all have to be in the Senate 6 days a week until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning every day. Which I don't know why they're running everything that long here. So, we're going into Iowa, like, now.
Yeah.
So, Alexandria Ocasio... Yep.
Yeah.
Alexandria
Ocasio-Cortez. It's a week from today.
Yes,
Holy
it is.
shit. Sorry. Yeah, wow.
My future wife, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is currently in Iowa campaigning on Bernie Sanders' behalf. This can't end well.
You don't think so?
No.
Why?
She's so dumb.
Yeah. I will say, I am a professional musician, and usually I don't play that much music for, free of charge. Mm-hmm. But if you married AOC, I would definitely provide the entertainment to that wedding, all day. Like it'd be my pleasure. By the way.
So let's get on to my favorite news story of the week. Tulsi Gabbard is currently suing Hillary Clinton for defamation for $50 million because of statements that Hillary Clinton made on a podcast alleging the fact that a certain person who was at the primary debates was a Russian agent. Mm. Now, of course, Hillary's fans are coming out and saying that Hillary never said Tulsi by name, so this is just going to get completely dismissed.
Yeah, it might be. That's the way the laws work, but
if the nesting doll fits.
Yeah, everyone knows who she... law and politics sucks so bad sometimes. I mean, these people are good wizards. She knew that, I don't know how defamation and libel and shit work, but, it's true. She never said her name. But
right, but many of her more ardent fans did. I mean, I've seen thousands, if not millions of people on Twitter call Tulsi Gabbard a Russian bot. Of course, being led by the Queen herself.
Yeah, I mean, she is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, which makes, myself and other, conspiracy-minded people, their kind of blinkers go up. But, I just still don't get why Russia's bad. Straight up. I don't understand it. Why is, do we need an enemy? I think Russia is kind of based, man. Yeah. At least they're nationalist, which I'm down with. But I don't know. I don't think anything is going to happen from this, but I like when people sue Hillary Clinton.
Well, the reason this is my favorite news story, not just the fact that Hillary Clinton is getting sued for something that she actually did say, and
yeah.
I mean, she sidestepped around, obviously, but she actually did come out and say it. My favorite part of this was that immediately an internet rumor spread forward, and I was not able to... I spent, from the time that you said that you were going to be ready in 15 minutes until I started the call, I spent that whole time trying to find the picture of it, and I couldn't find the picture of it for the second time. I found it the first time, but not the second time. But there is supposedly a line in the lawsuit that states clearly that Tulsi Gabbard is not depressed and has no intention on taking her own life. Supposedly. I've not read the actual lawsuit, but...
I gotta find this shit. Yeah. That's amazing. There was a flatbed truck driving around in Richmond that said Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
That's awesome.
All right, Atlantic, Tector. Just give me the documents. I want the documents, Joe.
You got a better chance of finding the documents that prove that they were putting chemicals in the water, turning the frickin' frogs gay.
It's asexual, by the way.
Yeah.
Files. Okay, I might have found something. Okay. Well, it looks like I got it.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm gonna put it in our chat real fast. So.
Okay.
I don't think this is just the press release.
Actually, if you screen share it there, it'll pop up in your window.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you do a screen share for Discord.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Great. Here we go. So I'm sharing right now.
Yep.
It's 14 pages.
Uh-huh.
So let me go. Let's see. First cause of action, defamatory statements. I hope this is true so badly, Jagger. I want this to be true so bad.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Would that
Russian
not be
asset.
amazing?
Oh shit. I don't know. Um, living by that principle. Yeah, I want to do a stream just on this. False assertions. Yeah, I'm not seeing it so far. Background on Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know. I don't want to read the whole thing. It might take too long.
Yeah, that might take a while, but yeah,
But
just
I
the
want
fact
this to
that the
be.
allegation was there.
Yeah. Anyway, let me get my camera back on. I don't know. But the Clinton body count is a thing. I don't know if I love conspiracies, but I just haven't done the necessary research deep dive that a lot of my fans have. And I definitely respect a lot of the people in the live chat, peace be upon them, for doing deep dives in this stuff, but you know, it seems like a thing you would want to put in your lawsuit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you were going up against a Clinton.
Yeah. Ron Helton says Adam Kokesh also says he is not suicidal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, you know what's coming next. The three questions.
Oh, what is it?
The three questions. So, based on current news stories this week and polling data that we have seen this week, just basically all the facts, who do you think is going to be the Democrat nominee coming up in 2020? Well, it's already in 2020, I guess. So,
Dude,
coming up at the end of the year.
It's a tough call, man. I mean, when we were on, when it was all of us on together, Freedom Scoop, I said Bloomberg. Within 10 hours, I took that back. I thought about it on my stream the next day. I was like, that's retarded. Bloomberg's spending enough money that he could, but I just don't see it happening. This is one of the toughest calls. I mean, I think it should be Bernie. I think that most people on the left are more of a Bernie Sanders type. I also think that the DNC hates him.
Mm-hmm.
So who do I think it's going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I think it's going to be Biden. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, but he's got the establishment on the side. I don't think it's more about it's not going to be Warren. I mean, I don't think so, at least. I mean, most people, I do have a lot of friends that are leftists. Most people hate her.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Judge Butts. It could be Bernie, but sometimes Bernie doesn't. I don't know if Bernie wants it.
I think they can super delegate Bernie out.
I think they're going to do something. They're going to ensure that it can't be Bernie Sanders. So it leaves Biden, and then maybe then the left ends up being right by proxy at that point that Trump did dig up dirt on the front runner, but yeah, I think if you had my answer is I don't know, but if I had to answer right now, I'm on a show answering, I'd say it's got to be Biden, which is weird because the guy can't even talk. So Biden.
Okay, so now you have to have, and they're down to, I think we're still on 14 right now. So if you had to have one of the 14 people that is currently still running, limited, of course, to people who are still in, nobody who's suspended their campaign, and nobody's speculative like Jake likes to do. Which one of these 14 idiots would you like to see, or would you feel the most comfortable with being your president?
Bernie Sanders. Bernie, man. I think Bernie's kind of a pussy. While I don't like that in a president, I don't think that. Okay, if the Democrats have both houses and the presidency, that's really bad. Mm-hmm. So hopefully a Republican Congress can check against Bernie Sanders. And I don't know. I find him to be the most likable. And I don't know if that's what you want in a politician, but I hate Biden. I think Biden is horrible. I think Warren's such a liar. I don't like Judge Butts. Um, I have my qualms about having a gay person or a woman as the president. I don't have like I don't think women or gay people are inherently bad people at all, but I see those two groups of having leadership issues on average. And you know, I think we really need to have this socialism versus free market debate. And I would like to see. I don't think that debate's going to be had with Biden versus Trump. I think that debate could be had with Bernie versus Trump. And if Bernie gets in, it's like, fuck it, man. Let's start. Let's hyper localize because this ship is going to crash under a socialist president, and bring it on, I guess.
Wait, if Biden gets in, do you think we could have the debate about the kids in the pool?
No, I think that I think these like kitty diddlers and these touchers, these perverts, I don't think they're ever going to get in trouble, man. I don't think that there's something about the media that can't look, and they can't look at and address the sniffing and the kids. I don't know what it is. I'm on my own path to researching stuff, but I don't think the mainstream can touch the kids thing. It's too embedded, too deep. It's everyone's complicit or something, and I don't think that debate is ever going to be had. I think that they're going to keep on sniffing, they're going to keep on diddling, and one day there's going to be some sort of revolt or some shit.
What does RRC call him? Uncle Sniffendiddle?
Any nickname of RRCs, I will approve. And he calls Warren Queef J Strongbow.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So Bernie, man, let's just get it over with.
All right, and the last question, of course, once again restricted to people who are currently still running. Which one of these people would you want to see on the debate stage just for the laughs? Who do you want to see be the nominee just so you can get some popcorn out and enjoy the show that is inevitably going to be the 2020 election?
I definitely want to see Trump scalp Elizabeth Warren. I want to see her traded in for some wampum. That's what I would want to see.
All right.
Beaver skin that bitch.
All right, we're gonna check in with the live chat here, and then we'll talk about we'll get into this conspiracy stuff. I'm betting on this coronavirus thing. So let's see what we've got going on here. Sheriffs are elected, police are not. That doesn't mean all sheriffs are good and all cops are bad. We just agree that laws are unjust. Thank you. Reflections of Liberty. Ron Helton says the whole Constitution was explicit when it outlined the duties and authority of the government. If you don't think that is true, then why didn't the founders just say, pass whatever law you want? I like that. Even my lefty buddy soured on Pocahontas. He was like, will Warren say anything to get elected? Yeah, she was the first one to run, and my parents are still full-on Union Democrat. Like, you can't vote red because that's evil, according to them. Mm. They didn't like Warren right from the beginning.
Yeah, she's so unlikable.
Denobo hates Warren. Warren is Hillbot 2.0 with a fake Indian. Thank you, Wyatt. Welcome back in. Ron Helton says, what do you mean the silent generation? That's actually the name of the generation that comes before the baby boomers. Silent generation. The Nightbot got Ron Helton on symbols. Yeah, you can't do extended dots in this chat because the Nightbot is kind of a Nazi on that. I turned the caps off, I think. I had to check that again. I think I turned the capital lock off. Ron Helton says re-education camps. Anarcho-communism of a sort was tried at Plymouth, Mass. Several starved to death. The Dems want to nationalize all industry. It was creeping socialism in the 70s. Is headed for full gallop. Biden and Sanders are both senile. Yes, they do. Bernie's an old school Leninist, which means he's too old to follow the ever-changing script. Kokesh always says he's not suicidal. We saw that. That's a spicy take. It'll be Tulsi, and she'll pick, I don't know how to pronounce that last name.
Kucinich.
Kucinich as her VP.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
Huh.
She has no principles either, according to Ron. Bernie reminds him of another Woodrow Wilson. I like that. He'll probably help establish the International Reserve.
Oh, that's a good one.
Media is guilty of sexual perversion. Yeah, look at the ones who are caught harassing female staff members. Yeah, that's pretty much comes with the territory, I think.
My question though is, the Me Too stuff was all about adults.
Mm-hmm.
Kids is way worse, and they don't go after that. It's like, it seems like they bring up the stuff amongst adults so they don't have to talk about the kids. Fucking crazy.
I'm pretty sure that goes back to the Weinstein and Epstein thing. Warren, Biden, and Sanders, none of them would stand a chance in a debate with Trump. Tulsi Trump debate would be a close debate.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Wyatt says he's a Gen Z boomer.
Nice.
Spartan Subhuman, welcome on in, says humans are just temporary labor for super AI, only useful as pets after it awakens, which... who was it? Somebody had mentioned the fact that was kind of how the Communist Party saw the people that were supporting it, too. Dennis Kucinich is who Ron Helton was talking about, and Sewell has shown up. Welcome in, Sewell.
Dennis Kucinich is a American politician, former U.S. representative from Ohio, serving from 1997 to 2013, candidate for Democratic nomination for President of the United States. 73 years old. Yeah, I don't get it. Must be one of those, inside joke things.
Well, let's talk about the reason that we're not going to have to worry about the elections, because we're all going to be dead by election time comes around.
Wuhan?
Now, yeah, the first time I heard Wuhan, I kept thinking of the... Have you seen... You don't watch anime, do you?
No.
Oh. The currency in Cowboy Bebop is called Wulong, and that's what I kept thinking when I heard Wuhan.
Wuhan.
So a virus started spreading around Wuhan in China this past week, and it looks like it actually has been going on for slightly longer than that, but nothing was being reported. I first caught this when Stick started talking about it in his daily live chats, because he is a big one on disease and the spread of disease. He was following the last Ebola outbreak pretty closely as well. So this particular disease has an asymptomatic version, which seems to be what's spreading the most, but when it does become symptomatic, becomes similar to flu-like symptoms, but possibly more severe. I believe we are up to a 53-person death count right now, and we are in the thousands of people who have contracted this disease, which means it has been doubling pretty much every day since it started being reported on. So, where do you want to start with this?
Well, I mean, I don't know. The media loves fear porn, so I don't know how to... it's hard to get out of, just like with the Trump stuff. It's just hard to get out of boy who cried wolf mode. There was the Ebola thing. It seems like every year or so, every 2 or 3 years, there's new disease coming up, and it barely misses us and gets overblown or just blown up by the media. So it's hard to know what to think. I mean, if these numbers are accurate, it sounds awful. There have been a lot of conspiracies out of this one. This virus had a patent, from the U.S. government. They're one of the biggest virus or whatever bio warfare research facilities in the world is in Wuhan.
Yeah, it's like 15 miles away from where the first case was reported.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing about conspiracies. They're really fun. They're usually not based on bullshit, but without being higher up in whatever organization or being close to information, you don't know what to think. So it leaves you, either speculating or trusting the media. And I would recommend speculating over trusting the media. So I don't know. It sounds awful. And I don't know what to think about it. I mean, Ebola ended up being kind of a nothing burger, and they really played that hand hard. So it's, this is what happens when you get to a low trust society. You don't know who to trust. You don't know what to think. So you're at the mercy of those in charge, or your own. If you want to move, start a farm. If you want to get away, isolate from everybody, you kind of can. But it's a little scary.
Well, the thing with Ebola is that it did require direct fluid contact to transfer.
Yes.
One of the things, and Styx keeps pointing this out when, because he actually does compare the two when he does his videos. If you haven't seen Styx X Hammer's videos on the disease, he's obsessed slightly with disease, so he's usually got some pretty good takes on this. But one of the things he pointed out is yes, contact was usually required for Ebola to transfer. Now, this coronavirus appears to be airborne,
Right.
and the
Yeah.
asymptomatic version can jump from person to person without anybody knowing that he or she ever had the disease to begin with. So,
Right. And it's kind of you can get infected before the symptoms show up.
yes.
Right. Oh.
So this is a bit scary, and like I said, now we've had I think 53 people have deceased from this virus here. We do have cases here in the U.S. at this point. As of I think it was yesterday, we have cases here, spreading out to Europe, from what I understand. So this
Yeah.
is something that could get around, and like I say, the conspiracy, of course. Now, the first thing the media is coming out and trying to say that this was somebody who, I think it started with bat soup was the first thing that it came from an infected bat.
Yeah.
Which
That went
bat soup
viral.
isn't bad.
What?
Bat
You had
soup
bat
isn't.
soup?
Yes, I've had bat soup.
Why? When?
You don't kill anything unless you intend to eat it. Haven't you ever seen Crocodile Dundee 3?
Are you kidding? You really had bat soup?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, J. Edgar.
And then somebody else was saying that they got it from eating an infected snake.
Yeah, there's the snake thing. The bat soup thing went viral. Yeah, there's all these bat memes.
Yeah, somebody in my live chat when I was doing my ad talk on Saturday suggested that I eat some bat soup.
Yeah, I mean, and I hadn't heard the term wet market until this thing. Have you heard that term?
No, I heard it once, but I still, once again, I don't know quite what it means.
It's just the place where I don't know why it's called wet market. We might have covered it on my show, but it was kind of the place where they sell live meat, or not live meat. They